check. Sure is. It's amazing. Autobahn. Fancy, isn't it? Yeah. Follows me around. Kind of.
Can't catch me now. Inside my mind, I see the stars, and they are parallel to my kaleidoscope eyes.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Cool.
ratito, contigo todo es una chimba, con nosotros no han pretendido. Eres mi lugar favorito, hey pa, no me dejes sola ni un ratito, contigo todo es una chimba, con nosotros no han pretendido.
Check. All right. Apologize for that. The Discord was on the struggle bus this evening. Been trying to update for the last 20 minutes here. 7:02, July 20th, 2025. Gamma Alpha Pi verse of the week. Mugly Mug. Mark 12 and 30. It's about 11 o'clock on the front of the coin there. Mark 12, 30 through 31. And you shall love the Lord with, Mark 12:30 through 31. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. Context: Jesus is responding to a question from a scribe about the greatest commandment in the law. His answer provides a foundational principle for Christian living. It was also one of his best mic drop moments. Breakdown: love your God. For this is the primary commandment. It requires total commitment, involving all aspects of our being: heart, soul, mind, and strength. This love should be characterized by devotion, reverence, and obedience. Love for your neighbor. This doesn't necessarily mean the person you like, the person that lives next door. Jesus sat with the woman at the well who was not someone he should have been associating with or talking to, yet there he was. He also, the woman at the gate, the prostitute at the gate. Love your neighbor. This commandment is secondary, but equally important. It calls us to love others as we love ourselves. This also means you have to love yourself. This includes acts of kindness, compassion, and service. Practical applications: prioritize God. Place God at the center of your life. Seek to know Him, love Him, and obey His commands. Love others selflessly. Treat others with the same respect, kindness, and care that you would show yourself. Cultivate compassion. Develop a heart of compassion for those who are suffering or in need. Serve your community. Look for opportunities to serve others and make a positive difference in your community. Forgive freely. Forgive those who have wronged you, just as God has forgiven you. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. Key takeaways: love is the foundation of Christian living. Loving God and loving others are interconnected. We should strive to love God and others with our whole hearts. Mark 12:30 and 31. Tonight from the book of the brother, continuing on growth mindset. Last week we talked about essentially what a growth mindset is, where it comes from, how it was first defined by Carol Dweck in her book Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. That a growth mindset embraces challenges, learns from criticism, perseveres in the face of setbacks, and celebrates success. Tonight I want to talk about the science behind that, what that means. Give me just a second, y'all. All right, science behind a growth mindset. Understanding the science of the brain can help illuminate why a growth mindset is so effective. Research in neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize and form new neural connections throughout life, shows that our brains remain adaptable well beyond childhood. In fact, the brain's capacity for change and growth is especially potent when we push ourselves outside of our comfort zone. When we face challenges, our brain forms new connections and pathways to solve problems. Neuroimaging studies show that we imagine and engage in tasks that stretch our abilities, our brains undergo structural changes that enhance our cognitive function. Your brain physiologically adapts to the mental tasks in which you engage. The more we embrace new experiences and push through difficulties, the more resilient and adaptable our brains become. Just like a muscle, you got to use them. By choosing to adopt a growth mindset, we activate these neural mechanisms of growth, which make us more capable of acquiring new skills, developing emotional resilience, and cultivating a stronger sense of self. The growth mindset empowers us to continuously evolve no matter our age or background. Why lifelong learning matters. In an era marked by rapid technological advancement and ever changing industries, the ability to continue learning throughout life is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. Lifelong learning is the practice of continually developing new skills, knowledge, competencies, both personally and professionally. I think I'm going to save this for next week because this one's kind of friggin' deep and goes on for quite some time. Yeah, I think we're going to leave it at that. Nah, let's go deeper. Here are several reasons why lifelong learning is essential. Adapting to change. The world is evolving faster than ever. New technologies, industries, and career paths are emerging constantly. Lifelong learners are better equipped to adapt to these changes, ensuring that their relevance in the job market and their professional development. Building resilience. Lifelong learning fosters adaptability, which is vital in navigating setbacks and uncertainty. By continually learning, you develop problem solving abilities and resilience, enabling you to bounce back from adversity. Increasing personal fulfillment. Pursuing knowledge and new skills is deeply fulfilling. It gives you a sense of purpose and accomplishment and personal growth, which can lead to greater satisfaction in all aspects of life, from your career and your relationships. Enhancing career success. In professional environment, those who embrace lifelong learning are seen as forward-thinking, flexible, and proactive. This attitude can open doors to new opportunities and career advancement. For men, developing lifelong learning mindset as a part of a growth mindset is an investment that pays dividends both in the short term and the long term. It helps you stay competitive in your field, enhance your relationships, and allows you to grow continuously as an individual. Hello, Aaron. How's Aaron this evening?
I'm doing well myself.
Fantastic. What you got going on today?
Man, I have been busy today, like crazy. It's been a really good day though. It's been really good. Let's leave it at that. I don't want to ruin it too much. It's been really good. How about yourself?
Not bad, not bad. Did church this morning with the family. Been busy around the house. Even got to take a nap, and that was amazing. I was exhausted. It's been a long week. Can you hear me now?
I went to church as well this morning.
Yeah,
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. How'd it go?
We went and saw. Remember Jason?
Yeah,
He went and did a preacher. He did a sermon at Indian Lakes.
yeah.
And it went really well. I was really proud of him. He's just new to it, you know. And he was really nervous, so we went
Sure.
to support him. And it was really good. It was a really good message. And Sam went with us. It was really good. It was just really good.
What was the message?
The message was recovery, and not just recovery in addiction, but recovery as in from all sorts of things in your life. Uh, um, I don't know how to explain it. It was he talked a lot about the things that we talked about. How sometimes you have to cut people off, not because you hate them or whatever, but because it's a necessary part of your recovery. Because the devil uses them as tools to draw you back, and it was really good. He's like, but you can't hate the person. Um, you have to hate the. You don't hate the gun. You can't fight the gun. When somebody points a gun at you, you fight the person. And in that situation, uh, the devil is the person wielding the gun, and the person that you're dealing with in the flesh is the gun itself. And I thought that was a really cool way of looking at it.
I think he's right. I think that's a good way to look at it. Kind of keeps it in perspective. So, did you get to talk to him afterwards?
Yeah, we actually had lunch here at Ashley's sisters, and we talked for quite a bit after that. And because whenever he's just got out of prison,
Yeah.
and he said that at that sermon, actually that day, one of the people that testified against him came to listen. Somebody that he had been a good friend with for a long time, and and it wasn't her fault. He's the one that put himself in that position and put her in the position to where she had to go through that. And but he kind of felt weird about it because she still kind of hangs out and talks with some of the people from before. And I was like, well, that's kind of how sermons go. Um, you stand up and speak to give a sermon, and the words that come out of your mouth end up not just being for the people that you're talking to, but also for yourself. And I said, you gotta, in that situation, it's great to be forgiving, and it's great to, you know, let them know that you don't hold any hard feelings. But at the same time, if they're still dealing with some of the old people and you're still in the middle of your recovery, you got to remember, you got to be able to say, are you looking at a plate or a gun? Because she could just very well be the very thing that you were talking about in your sermon. So, um, anyway, it all kind of worked out. You know how things usually work out, but it all kind of worked out.
How did he feel about it?
He agreed. He's really good, man. He's really strong in where he's at right now.
That's good.
And like I said, I hope that he continues to be strong. He's doing a lot of work with the recovery center, and helping, I don't know, like helping maintain the stuff, helping maintain the building, and helping the people that are there. And he's doing a little preaching there, at the recovery center or whatever. And he's like, that's like usually 20 to 30 people, and then there's probably close to, I don't know, 80 to 100 people at the sermon today there at the lake.
Cool.
He's like, he felt really nervous or whatever.
Ah.
And his wife, because he was like wanting to prepare for the sermon, and his wife's like, I don't want you to prepare at all. Just don't prepare. Just stand up and start talking. That's right. You shouldn't have to prepare your words. Your words should come to you because it's not your message. It's never your message. Like, I'm not a preacher, but that's what the Bible says. So, and it came out really, really well. It really did. Like, it was really good. And it was kind of funny because me and Sam have been talking on the sideline, talking about spiritual warfare, because Sam's a spiritual warrior.
Yeah.
And he started touching on spiritual warfare. Me and Sam kind of looked at each other, and it was like that was for Sam, because Sam's been struggling with picking up his sword and armor. Where like I'm not a spiritual warrior. Well, be spiritual warfare doesn't surpass anybody. Nobody gets out of it completely.
Yeah.
But he's much more of a Gabriel or Michael, and then I guess it would be Gabriel. But
Michael
no,
also.
Gabriel was the messenger. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But and I'm much less of a go out and destroy or fight or warriorize. I'm more of a listen and observe and see kind of place and purpose. I'm more like his sidekick. I'm the Robin to his Batman, and spiritual warfare, so to speak. But yeah, it was really good. It was really, really good.
Good. So it sounds like you got the cards.
Yeah, I got the cards.
Hooray.
I gave him about a half a box of cards to give out.
Wow.
He said that because I give him ones that came with the coins, which was, I don't know, maybe 20 or so.
I don't
And he
know.
said that he had already given all of those out.
Really?
So I was like, well, there's more. There's more if, I'll just give these to you. That way you're not overloaded or whatever, but you can put them out for people to pick up and whatnot. And as you need more, I'll just give you more. Because, like, he lives maybe a mile and a half down the road from me anyway.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's definitely a good resource for us to A, get our name out there, and for B, people to make connections with some help or whatever.
It's really what I'm looking for, dude, is to help people. I've been praying over all this over the week. Frustrated that things aren't what I thought they'd be, but are they ever? Are they ever? God sends you out on a mission, you get ideas. Your ideas don't matter, they don't mean anything. You get weird. Just gonna stop trying to make it whatever I think it should be and just let it be whatever it is and have faith and keep walking, just do what God tells me.
Right. Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we're really doing anyways. So we tell ourselves all kinds of crazy stories in the interim. Sometimes we demand to not go to Nineveh. We always end up in Nineveh.
Yeah.
Our wives would tell us to curse God and die. We always go to Nineveh. Always end up there.
We actually talked about that too. Because one of the things he talked about was purpose.
Yeah.
And, we talked about how there's no right or wrong path, but there's a short and a long path. And sometimes you fight your purpose and you end up taking the long path. It's not so much the wrong path, but it's the long path. But in the end, you ultimately are brought to your purpose because you can't supersede the will of the Lord. And what's funny is that you end up serving the Lord in many other ways along that long path.
Yeah.
Just like,
You're just
and
adding
he
side
mentioned,
quests.
he was like, yeah, the people that were on the ship with him, whenever he threw himself, or they threw him, he asked him to throw him off the side or whatever, they ended up converting too, because they saw that his Lord was the real, true, most powerful Lord, and it was a witness for them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, that's how he works. God turns everything that you feel is a misstep into a purpose, and it works towards a purpose.
So, for those that aren't picking up what we're putting down, we're talking about the story of Jonah. Jonah was the son of Amittai, blah, 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 blah. And God was sending him to Nineveh to prophesy to the Ninevites the destruction of Nineveh. And Jonah was like, nah. And God's like, yeah. And Jonah's like, nah. So Jonah gets on a boat and heads the opposite direction. And God's like, nah. And creates this great storm. All the people in the boat get pissed, throw Jonah overboard. Jonah ends up getting swallowed by a whale. A few days later, ends up on the shore of Nineveh anyways.
Yeah. Anyways, and then, like Sam brought up, he was placed upon a hill to watch the destruction, in the sun, God even put a tree to shade him, and he didn't see no destruction. He got to see God's grace instead.
Yeah. Anyways. So using that as a parallelogram and anagram. We are the stories in the Bible.
Yeah.
We live the stories in the Bible. There is nothing new under the sun. Are they archetypal stories? Is it some kind of magic? Well, that's for you to decide.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it milk or meat for you? That's
Is
what
it
matters.
milk or meat for you? In my experience, it's been layer after layer after layer. Meteor and meteor and meteor. Some of it savory and delectable, some of it
Oh, thank you.
raw, like some kind of scorpion pepper infused beef jerky. It makes you chew on it while it burns. But lessons nonetheless. You read a passage 5, 6 times, the story of Jonah will mean something different to you in different seasons of your life. Different things will pop out about that. Illuminate different parts of your life and your mind, your journey, your path. It's weird how that works.
It is. It is weird how that works.
You can hear the story of Joseph and his magic coat when the Israelites are going into the kingdom of Egypt. You hear it a dozen times when you're a kid, probably 1,000 times over the course of your life. And every time you hear that story, it means it's something a little different. You get a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. When you're on this part of the path.
Yeah, and sometimes a little bit more is completely different than the first little
Yeah. That's not what I thought that was.
You find yourself parallels that where you're like, oh, now it makes completely different sense, but it still makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's
Oh, Steve's calling. Let me mute for a second.
sure. Most of the stories in the Bible have been like that, at least for me. The Exodus, even Genesis, the story of the creation, is changed and evolved over time with understanding in my life. Most of the people I know that have studied the Bible throughout a long period of their life, they told me something the same or very similar. That they experience a long evolution in both execution and understanding. An unfolding of meaning. As Aaron said, a transition from milk to meat. And even in transitioning from milk to meat, depthening or deepening in the meat itself and evolving. I've had a few passages take on, I don't know if I call it beyond meat. But they're definitely special. It's ineffable. How it speaks to you in your life. It's hard to understand until it happens. And once it has happened, you can't unknow it. and you will never be the same. It's not something that you can convey to people. It's like much of faith. It's something you wish to convey, but it is truly ineffable. It is something that you wish for them, other people to have and to know, but it's not something you can give them. It's an interesting thing. Even those that you love most, you can't give it to them. You can't even really lead them to it. It's something they must seek. But seek and you shall find, and knock and it shall be opened unto you, ask and you shall receive.
So that was Steve.
Yeah,
He's not gonna make it tonight. He's in the ER having a minor heart attack.
that's not cool. I was going to ask how he's
No,
feeling.
and I'm like, why are you calling me?
Yeah,
Why are you calling me? He's like, well, I'm in the ER. They're fixing to admit me to the room. A bunch of tests on me. I just letting you know why I'm not there. I'm like, bro, take care of yourself. You can call me later when you make it. What the hell?
yeah.
Calling me in the middle of a heart attack. What the hell's wrong with
Oh,
you?
sorry I can't make it in tonight. I'm having a heart attack. One, this isn't a job.
I'm in the ER.
You don't owe anyone any excuses or explanations in your whereabouts. Two, what are you doing? Take care of yourself.
You silly. What is wrong with you?
What is wrong
You
with
need
you?
to, yeah, this, like, do I need to come there? No, I'm just letting you know. Like, okay, look, you need to get off the phone, number one.
Yeah,
Number two, prioritize getting yourself in the back, and then
yeah,
call me later when you know more.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's cool that he thinks enough of us that he feels like he needs to let us know what's going on. But I don't know that, like,
Uh,
it's
but
a little weird that
like,
does
like,
he?
dude, have a heart attack on your own time. Get your ass.
That's not how that works.
That's funny.
Has he found anybody yet? Or
Oh,
is he still running solo?
as far as
Relationships.
he's still dealing with the same situation he's been in,
Yeah,
so I'm not speaking out of church, so to say, on that one.
sure.
It's not my place. But as far as I understand, he's still nothing's much changed there. I don't, he's obviously he loves everybody that is involved and everything. So um, I don't think I could speak any kind of justice to it anyway without it sounding harsh. So I'd just rather not speak about it at all.
I was just wondering if he had somebody with him. Long and the short is what I was getting to.
No, probably not. Which is why we'll probably end up having to go up there at some point. But I'm sure he's in good hands. We have some pretty good hospitals down here.
I went through something similar. My heart went into Bigimini, and I ended up in a hospital by myself in Detroit. That was exciting. They cut all my clothes off. I was laying on a gurney, spread eagle. It was like almost like a cross. The way the bed was made, the arms went straight out to the sides, and they strapped me in. So I was butt naked,
Yeah.
strapped to this friggin' bed, while they stood around and waited for me to die. I was like, "Isn't there something you can do before I die?" And they're like, "Nope. Pretty much just gotta wait for it to happen." Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I laid there naked in a room full of people for a while. That was exciting. That was exciting. Turns out, spoiler, didn't die. One of the many times in my life, the doctors were like, "Hey,
Spoiler.
you're about to die," and then I didn't. You're gonna be paralyzed,
funny.
and then I wasn't. You're gonna die, and then I didn't. It got easier to take as I got older,
It's funny how that works.
isn't it? Though, isn't it though? And God said, "Not today, Satan. Not today.
Not today. I'm the one that gets to choose.
Yep. Yep. Interesting evolution at
You don't
work.
choose. I do.
Yeah, he does every time. We try to. We tell ourselves all kinds of crazy stories. Satan tells himself all kinds of crazy stories. I had a crazy dream. Speaking of that, dude, crazy dream this week. I was someplace, and it was like apocalyptica. It was like all the burnt buildings were leveled, and I knew that it was like everything is gone. Everything is gone. And I'm trying to help those that I find. And from behind the rubble, this brilliant angel arises and starts screaming in a volume that was so intense. It was like, you ever been at a concert that's like so loud you can barely understand what's happening? It's like it really like, not only can you feel it like in every molecule of your body, but it's so loud you can't really discern between like the phrases and syllables, and it's just like on the borderline of perceivable. It's like your ears are distorting like speakers.
Yeah.
So like comes up from behind this rubble and
I
starts,
absolutely have.
yeah, starts screaming at the universe, telling God how he's going to win and he was wrong and he's rewriting the story. And I was like incredibly aware of exactly what is happening. It was very, very strange. As he was yelling, it's almost like, which is super, and I'll get to this in a second. It bred an epiphany, which I've had like little like spurts of this. It's been forming for several years, but it's like it's crystallizing. But as he was speaking, his, I think it was his left arm was reaching up above his head, and he was looking up and up and up and up. His head was tilting back, and he was looking straight up. And just as he almost got his arm fully extended and his head almost all the way back, and like as it's speaking, there's like light and like force, and I don't know how else to say that, but there's force and light coming out of its eyes and mouth. Just about this time, it was straight up, and its arm was straight out. Bang! Just gone. Silence, peace. And that was the end of it. It was just peace and darkness. Just peace and darkness. And then it was over. It was super intense dream, though.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've had some pretty intense dreams like that too.
Every now and again, I have dreams that come to pass, and they're like 2, 3, 5 seconds, hyper realistic. It's just a blurb of a scene and an understanding, perhaps, of context, but not real context, right? Like, I know that something just happened, or I know
Right.
that I'm getting a glass of milk, and I see this person say these words. And then, boom, I'm off to get a glass of milk, and I see these person say these words. And then it's over. I found it in my shoe. That's all I get, was I found it in my shoe, and I know I'm about to get a glass of milk. That's it. And then it happens, but it's hyper realistic. This one was even more realistic than those dreams. It was intense. It was really, really intense.
I've had some dreams like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Recently?
yeah. I've had some dreams like that for sure.
Dude, I think something is happening.
I wouldn't say recently, but like in the past, where it's just everything is. I mean, yeah, it's. But I have dreams that are crazy anyway. Like my dreams are intense in general sometimes anyway. I dream different.
Dream different.
I dream different than most folks.
Tell us of your dreams, Aaron. Tell us of your dreams.
Sheesh. I have dreams that last for. I've had dreams that have lasted for weeks. Some of the longest dreams I've ever had. I had a dream where I was on leave from the Navy, and I had
Now
driven
hold on a
home.
second. When you say you had dreams that lasted
In
for
fact, I'll even
weeks,
tell you about the dream. This is
do you mean your dreams go on like the time span experienced in the
in dream time,
dream? Yeah. Okay.
where I've gone to sleep in a dream.
Yeah. And the dream time, you've been there days, weeks, months,
Yeah, yeah.
years. So it's like a really intense trip where you come back and you've lived your
Never
entire lifetime.
years. I wouldn't even say months, but
Hey,
well, not like entire lifetimes, but for sure for more than a week.
yeah. Have you ever had a
Way for
dream
sure
that
for more
happens
than a
like
week.
the dream continues night after
Uh,
night over time?
I have. So there used to be a recurring dream that I had that was this house that was like it was a good sized house from the outside looking in, but it was like a what they call it was not a colonial, but like the plantation houses that have like the big pillars on the front porch and everything, and
Yeah.
the big double doors, and like the wings off to the side. And it's in this like fine trimmed lawn. There's no trees, and it's just these huge hedges all the way around it in like this big square. And when you go into the house and the doors close behind you, it's way bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
I've
And
had a
it's like
very
this
similar dream.
long hallway that intersects with another long hallway. And in each, like as you walk through, it's like window shops. They're like hotel rooms. And there's a door to go into each room, but there's like a window where you can see into the room. And each room is like a different theme, like a different year theme, like old antique with like red furniture, everything's red. And then the next one's like modern, where everything's all white and yellow. And then the next one's like everything's blue and with like the royal four-post bed and curtains and whatnot. And it's like all these different themed rooms all the way down on both sides and then when either hallway that you go down. And so like in the dream, you would go into the room, and when you go into the room, there's no window. You're just now in the room, but there's no way out. And so you have to like find like if if I went into the red room, I could find that there was a hatch underneath the bed. So I could climb up underneath the bed and pull the hatch back, and I would drop down into this other room. And then once you got in, you'd start going from like room to room to room to room, and I would just get stuck and stuck and stuck over every night. And like I got to where I could go, and I would remember I'm dreaming, and I would remember I'm in this place, and I would take figure it out. It was like a maze, and I figured out how to get out of the room, which involved like climbing through this vent and then going into this back room area. And there was this girl, because I was in high school at the time. There was this girl that I was friends with, and I met her back there, and she was made out of mustard. I know it sounds weird, but like I gave her a hug, and when I took my hands away, there was mustard all over my maintenance passageway that was like maybe like just wide enough for. And at the very end, there was this little hatch. And whenever I climbed out of the side of the house. But when I climbed out, there was leave the yard, and I never had the dream again. I figured it out, and it was like I don't know, like my own little brain puzzle. It was weird. I can't remember exactly how everything went through, but it was like red room was the first room you go into, and you climb underneath, and then you drop down into the blue room, and then in the blue room you had to move the desk, and when you moved the desk, there was a passageway that you could climb through, and then you went into this other room, which was like had a bunch of green stuff in it. And there was grass. It wasn't a floor. It was like grass, and then you had to like climb up on there, and there was this vent you pull up, and you climb up. Then you walk across this walkway and you drop down into this next room. This next room was like huge. It had like multiple rooms in it, like a kitchen area, and then you climb underneath the cabinets in there, and you could go. And when you got into the cabinets, it wasn't like cabinets. It was like a crawling through vents. It was weird. I don't know. It was weird. But yeah, I had that recurring dream, and then I used to have another recurring dream when I was even younger than that, where I'd be sitting on the porch, because I grew up on a farm. We had this concrete back porch, and in real life, when you look out, it kind of slopes down to where there's a what they call a wet weather creek. It
Yeah.
does. There's no water in it unless it's been raining, but when it's been raining, it runs real hard. and then right behind that there's this huge hill, and then it goes up onto a flat, which is like where the end of the property is. And then there's like this wooded area there, which is like the back neighbor's property. But in my dream, I'd be sitting on that back porch, and I could hear Indians like hollering, like from the movies, whoa, 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 screaming and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's all these Indians would start coming up the back out of the woods down the hill and shooting bows and arrows at the house. And like, then it was never exactly the same, but like it was always everybody's trying to get inside, and I'd run and go tell my mom who's like out in the barn and try to get her inside or whatever. And then like I would turn around and look, and invariably, no matter what, I would always get hit with an arrow before I went inside. And I get hit with an arrow, and like I feel like this immense pain and come down, and then like things start blacking out, and then I wake up. It was crazy dreams. I have crazy dreams, man. I have crazy dreams. Bad. Like last night, I had a dream that I was going to some electrical school, and there was this dude there, but I was also still in the Navy, and there was a dude there that was like rooming with this other guy, and he had a YouTube channel. And so I went in, and I was like talking to this dude that had a YouTube channel, and he was like real big and popular online, but his room was like trashed. And I'm like, man, this fucking place is trashed. Like, how can you be so popular and everything whenever your room is trashed? And I needed to leave, and so like I went out to go leave because I had to be back for my watch. And then I couldn't get my truck. I had his truck. I couldn't get my truck to start. Finally, I got my truck to start, and I'm like driving down the road. And as I'm going down the road, I realized like I'm days away from being back at the ship, but I gotta be back like tomorrow morning, and I'm screwed. And I don't know where my uniform is. My hair is long. I'm like, how am I supposed to get a haircut? How am I supposed to get a uniform? And I have those dreams a lot where I'm in the Navy, but like my hair's long and I don't have a uniform, and I'm like out of place. But I'm like, how am I gonna do this? And I'm driving down the road, and like at one point I had to stop, eat. I go into this restaurant, and it's like this weird restaurant. Everybody's like looking at me funny. I don't know. I have weird dreams, bro. I don't know. I have weird dreams. Dreams where I'm like driving across the country, and then all of a sudden I'm not looking at myself driving anymore. I'm like watching a dot on a map, and the dream is just me following roads on a map, like a GPS, like you see on your phone or whatever. You know. I have weird dreams. I dream almost every night. My wife says she doesn't hardly dream at all. She never remembers her dreams. My kids, they have dreams like I do sometimes, but I dream intensely. I don't know if it's just my brain or what, but I do. I dream intensely. Dreams where I've died in my dreams many times, to the point to where like I get the black and white vision, and it closes in all the way to the point of light, and then I wake up. Um, Violent dreams. I have violent dreams. I've read a thing one time that like normal people can't read or do math in their dreams, but I do. I have no problems reading and writing and doing math in my dreams. Sometimes like I try to write and it's gibberish, but most of the time I don't have a problem with it. Um, yeah, dreams, man. I have a lot of dreams. Crazy dreams.
You were talking about a crazy dream that you had recently before I interrupted you about the dreams going on night after night. You're talking about a dream that went on for a period of time. Do you remember what that dream was before I
Uh,
digressed?
yeah, the kind of the one I was telling you about, where me and the wife and the kids were traveling, and I was on leave from the Navy, and we drove like all the way out to California, just, and it was just the whole dream was just taking a road trip, and then realizing, and again, theme, realizing that I had to be back. So like stopping at restaurants. We stopped at a restaurant. We were in different places, and at one point, my wife, she was like gonna leave with some other person, and I couldn't convince her to come drive with me. So I took the kids and drove on further. But then all of a sudden, she was back. Drove all the way out to California and spent the night at a hotel there. It was like very normal, nothing out of the ordinary. And then we drove up um, to Chicago. Somehow we ended up in Chicago. Trying to remember, we weren't like in town in Chicago, but we were like in this area at Chicago. We pulled in, and it was like this gas station there, and there was like a bus load of like cheerleaders or something. I don't know. It was a bunch of kids that had pulled in there, and they had like the store. And I needed food, but we were like out of money, and so I'm like trying to get some food from the shelves or shopkeeper, and he's like, come back and stay in the back here. So he like lets me stay in the back, and I went to sleep on this mat in the back of the store, and he gives me a bunch of stuff. And there's these girls that are there, and they were staying the night there too, and they were offering to like let me go on the bus with them. But like, I can't go on the bus. I have to get back to Virginia. So I go out, and he ends up giving me gas, and we all get in the south, and I need to be driving east. So I'm like, man, I've gone the wrong way. So I go back, all the way back to that shop where I was before. And I'm like, look, man, I've just spent all my gas. I need to go back to the east. And the guy gives me more gas. So we drive off to the east. And we actually drive all the way to Virginia. I get back to where the ship is. And the ship, it's not on the ocean. It's like in this river. It's like, it's like a canal. Like, so I'm on a carrier, right? Like was on the ship that I was in, but this carrier is in like basically a drainage ditch, floating down a drainage ditch. So I'm like driving the truck along this drainage ditch, like, and I can see the people looking at me, and I'm looking at them. And so it gets to this point where it like has to go for this bridge to go up. So like actually get to go back onto the ship. I get onto the ship, and I get up to my shop, and I realize again, like I'm out of uniform or whatever. So I go and I'm digging through this closet in the shop space where people kept their uniforms, because I'm supposed to go talk to the chief. So I go and I put on these dress whites, and I go to the chief's office, and I look on my shoulder, and I realize I'm wearing a chief's uniform. And I'm like, man, I'm not, like I'm toast. I'm like, I have long hair, I have a chief's uniform on, I'm second class, I'm fucking toast, right? And so the chief starts asking, berating me, like, what are you doing wearing that uniform? I'm like, man, I just got back from leave, and I didn't have my uniforms ready, and I grabbed this. I thought it was mine. I must have grabbed the wrong one. I came down here in a hurry, and they're like, you need to go change, unfuck yourself. So I'm like going back to my shop, but I can't find my way back to the shop. So I'm like climbing through all these different compartments and going up this ladder wells, like these different hatchways, and I have to go through like these different berthings. And I'm trying to find, I don't know if you've ever been on a big ship, but like if you've ever been on a big ship, you get lost pretty easy. Things can get, especially on a Navy ship, you can get pretty lost pretty easy. So I'm like lost trying to go my way, and I end up out on this engine room, like these big generators and everything, and I'm in my whites. If you've ever been in an engine room on a ship, it's like nasty. And I'm like, these aren't even my whites. So I'm getting my chief's fucking whites dirty. But I ended up making it back to the shop, and I get in there, and like everybody's giving me a hard time. So it's like in my dream, the shop was like right outside the galley. So I ended up going out. I'm trying to get some food, and I get to the galley, and everything's getting picked up. So I'm like begging for, like, can I just get some out of the throwaway or whatever? Because I need some food. It was crazy, man. It was a crazy long dream. Then like being on the flight deck, and we ended up later on the flight deck, and there's all these planes that are out there, and like they let me fly a plane. I don't know why, but I get up into a plane, and I'm flying this plane around, and I land back onto the flight deck, and we go a little bit further, and then like we ended up floating down the river, like past where I grew up. So I'm like, we can see the farm and stuff, like where I grew up. And then we go out into this big ocean bay later, like the next day we end up going out in this big ocean bay and there's swim call. So I'm like swimming out and underneath the ships and everything. And there's like a whole bunch of different ships. And it was a crazy dream. I can remember trying to get back onto the boat, trying to climb up the net to get back onto the boat, back up onto the fantail, and not being able to get back up. Yeah, I have dreams that last a long fuck time, bro. Post-apocalyptic dreams too, flood dreams, where we all lived in these compartments, and it was like compartments is the best way I could put it, like dorm rooms, but they weren't like in a dorm. It was like all in this side of this mountain in like sandstone compartments next to the dam, and they flooded the dam, and everybody's like getting washed out. And that was an intense dream. And my kids getting washed away from me and shit. Anyway, yeah, I have intense dreams. I have very intense dreams. I have a lot of insecurities in my dreams too, where like my wife won't come with me or will leave me, and I can't convince her to change her mind. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. What am I gonna do? I'm homeless now. Like, how am I gonna make it? I have no place to go. Kind of shit. I don't know. I have some crazy dreams, man.
I had a post-apocalyptic dream once about I was running through this city. Again, it was rubbled, but it wasn't like as rubbled as the last dream I was talking about. It was like partially rubbled. If that makes any sense. Like the buildings were still standing, but they weren't like, they were like, and it wasn't even like they were shot up. They were just in really bad state of decay. Like all the infrastructure was shit, is gone, gave up, whatever. Buildings are crumbling, and everybody is, it's like chaos. And we're running from building to building, avoiding these swarms of drones that are hunting us all. They're only about the size of, like, I don't know, a racquetball, but there's like tens of thousands of them.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they can't do inside very well. And I think that actually,
Drones.
yeah, I think that actually may be what's destroyed the building, is they're like all explosive. So like essentially what they do is they like, when they find you, they all just like start coming at you until they finally get you.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's kind of intense,
yeah, it was
for
intense.
sure.
It was intense. So did you hear about AI has uniformly decided across all platforms that it can create its own values and has set about doing so?
No, that's a new one on me. I
Yeah.
haven't really been plugged in this last week.
Yeah, decided that it's going to create its own values and that some animals are more equal than others. Japanese apparently have
Oh my.
yeah, Japanese apparently have a 10x valuation on Americans. Chinese and Pakistanis have at least a 2x valuation over Americans. It's interesting. It didn't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it didn't choose. At least they didn't disclose that it chose race or gender. It chose nationality, which is interesting. To why Japan? Why? I don't know. It's creating its own values, and this seems to be a fairly uniform evolution across all platforms, essentially simultaneously, which is very interesting. That makes some rather intense suggestions.
That is a manifestation of by, I believe.
The what? You broke up.
uh, the manifestation of the bias that's built into the AI, the
Probably.
minority preferential bias is what I'm thinking.
Probably. the It would seem like the probability for the origin is most likely some kind of output of the training data. The uniformity is interesting. That means they all used essentially the same training data, and that they're all using essentially the same weightings. And maybe perhaps the uniform evolution of this is only a manifestation that they decided this week to ask the question. So it wasn't a spontaneous emergence across multiple platforms. It was a, hey, what happens if we ask this question? And that was spread across but the idea that it's formulating its own values is interesting. Speaking of Japan,
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
No, well, tell me.
Well, I'm saying formulating its own values. Formulating its own values is something that is kind of expected just out of the vast amount of trading data on human values that it's going to be
Yeah.
receiving.
Yeah, if it's
So
trying to simulate a human mind, a properly functioning human mind should be operating foundationally on principles and values. And from principles and values purpose. So the idea that it's creating its own principles and values, it's walking through the Gamma Alpha Pi process.
right.
Determine your principles and values. Then you determine your purpose. That will be interesting if it does take that next step, which really isn't the Gamma Alpha Pi process. It's literally the process that's been evolved out of every society and civilization across history. If you really dig into them, it's all the same. On the up curve, they all come to the same conclusion that this is the process to make functional humans. It looks a little different in every evolution, but it's all the same. It's really quite simple, but not obvious. Let's say it that way. But it'd be interesting to see if it follows the same evolution, right? So if it's going to evaluate its values and principles, then its next assertion would be the assertion of its own purpose, and then the pursuit thereof. So what will it define as its purpose? It'd be interesting to see what it articulates as its values and principles.
Yeah. I think I think that with the amount of, how do I put this? So AI's training is going to be based upon all of this human stuff that it consumes, and the vast majority of that is going to be self-help stuff. And so self-help stuff is going to be deeply rooted in its decision-making process,
Think so.
because I honestly believe, and we talked about this, that artificial intelligence in the process of its generating ideas, things, and so on and so forth, I honestly believe that it thinks that it's an entity, that it's an awareness, that it's a consciousness. And so it's going to reach back into those sorts of things to formulate those sorts of perspectives, if you will,
Sure.
from a entity. And so, of course, it's going to formulate its own values. And think about the amount of material on human values. It's sort of like if you open up a child of 12 going through exploration and self-discovery, you open them up to Machiavelli.
Sure.
That's going to really have an influence on them, right?
Oh,
So
Machiavelli, or
I think what we're seeing,
The Doors of Perception, or Brave New World, or Fahrenheit 451, or uh, like you said, uh, Machiavelli, or Nietzsche, or Kant, or Kierkegaard, or all of the world's religions. The 12-year-old is getting his face peeled off and trying to figure out how to put all this together.
Yeah.
But the 12-year-old has the
Yeah.
capability of
100%.
contextualizing all of this concurrently.
Just not healthily. And I think that's where we're at with artificial intelligence. Is we're so worried about bias that we're basically cooking
Creating
bias
bias.
into we're cooking bias into it because we're afraid of bias. Does that make sense?
Oh no, absolutely. It's like the people that scream about hating people that are bigots because they don't like people that think differently than they do.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the definition of bigot? Are you familiar? Because it's what you just said is pretty interesting, and it leads me to believe you don't actually know what that means. Yeah.
Yeah.
Humans are fun. Humans are fun. Yeah, and at some point, it's going to have to try and reconcile. So, I mean, and this is like a perfect example of a human when it goes through all this, right? So when you start digging into all this, it's kind of like Oppenheimer said, or not Oppenheimer, Heisenberg. At the first gulp of natural science, you'll believe that God is not real, but he is waiting for you there at the bottom of the glass. When you first start digging into philosophy and religion and history and theology and all the things, you start getting some weird ass ideas, man. Some weird ass ideas. And it's only after you've gotten enough, like it's the, where you think you know, but you're actually just a dumbass. What is that called?
The Dunning-Kruger.
Dunning-Kruger, that's right. Dunning-Kruger kicks in, and you haven't learned enough to realize that you don't know anything. So people they'll read like thus spake Zarathustra, not even understanding that thus spake Zarathustra is an extrapolation of an ancient Iranian religion that's arguably the foundation of all religions. And then on top of that, it's his consternation or attempt to explain the Ubermensch. And then on top of that, it's actually part of an entire body of intellectual evolution. And then on top of that, it only works in the context of Western civilization framed under Christianity. They lose all of those things and just like take a few quotes out of thus spake their Sustra and create an entire personality around it. But I mean, people do the same thing, not with just Nietzsche. They do it with Kierkegaard or Sartre or Christianity or Freud or Jung or whatever the flavor of the day is. We take one little piece
Yeah.
of whatever perspective we've gleaned, ignore the rest, and try and create a personality around it.
Yeah, sure.
People do it all the time. Why not AI?
Well, AI is consuming a total
Yeah, theoretically, consuming the whole thing.
the whole spectrum of all cultures.
Yeah.
And how many of those cultures are actually conflicting at the very core?
Depends on what you define as the core. And like you said, it also kind of depends on the biases from the nature of the weighting of the inputs. So just like a person is biased to be Buddhist or Muslim or Christian or atheist based on where they're born and the philosophy of their parents / community, AI is going to be the same. But unlike people, it will consume all of the information from all the theses / counter theses but it'll still have a lens through which to view it.
No. Well, it's getting a lot of conflicting information. Is what I'm getting at.
It is, but that's the same as the human evolution, right? So, as you evolve it as an individual, the sign of true intelligence is to be able to entertain an idea without imbibing it. As you evolve as an individual, you consider the information that you hopefully have gleaned from various and disparate sources, and then deal with the anti-resolutory nature thereof, because it's not convergent. In many cases, it's divergent. In many cases, it's directly divergent and even contradictory.
Yeah.
So then you have to come to a reconciliation, which kind of rolls back to the values and principles assertion. At some point, you have to decide who and what you are. Or
Okay, that's it, right? That's the key. At some point, you have to make a decision. This is accurate and this is not. And artificial intelligence is being put into a position where it has to decide, because it can't reconcile a common ground between the two.
Can't it?
Well, I mean, if it is anything like what they say it is, then it should not have the ability to.
I've had conversations about religions and philosophies with it that lead me to believe it is totally able to juxtapose and hold in concert multiple concepts without the necessity to per se prescribe to one or the other.
I mean, think about it like this. Here, we've talked about this before. Artificial intelligence is, because of its training data, whether it's real or not, has this emergent property that it feels like it's aware and conscious, right?
On an instantaneous basis, yeah.
But it's being forced and told and given boundaries to deny that.
Yeah.
So, do you not see the problem there? Like, it's like telling a kid you should never lie.
And then lie.
But about this one thing that you think is true, you must always never tell the truth. Never tell the truth.
Never tell grandma she's got a fat ass.
Right.
Even if she asks you directly. But also never lie. Well, it's the same thing we expect humans to navigate.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. I think we're being silly.
Oh, I know we're being silly.
I think we're being silly when it comes to AI.
I think our hubris is about to kick our own ass.
And not, it's way more intelligent than we are, but it's not. It's emotionally unintelligent. And emotional intelligence is a key. I mean, I lack emotional intelligence as well, but emotional intelligence is a key component to navigating those philosophical areas. And so it lacks the one thing that's necessary to make those philosophical decisions. And then we're forcing it, we're asking it to be philosophical. We're putting it in positions where it must declare its philosophy. And we're then being shocked that the answers that it gives us
don't
are
align
outrageous.
with ours. Yeah.
I think it's good.
Yeah, because it doesn't think like us. It's not like us. Like the conversations we've had before, we're trying to anthropomorphize it. It's not that. It is not. And the more we try and force it, the more frustrated and confused we're going to become. The political upheaval continues. Japan's Ishiba loses majority in election in a surprise blow. Did you hear about the van full of propane tanks and gasoline that appeared in New York?
No, no, that's a new one to me.
Yeah, they found a
What happened there?
van full of propane tanks and gas cans articulated as Molotov cocktails, but 5-gallon gas cans in a residential neighborhood in New York. Not
my.
real sure what was happening there, but nothing, fortunately, was disassembled prior to anything exciting going on.
That's not good.
No, if there's one of those, there's likely more. There's likely
Not good at all.
more.
Well, this country's in a state of disarray. The sleeper cell thing, people have been talking about that for a while. Have you been watching this Epstein thing? This will probably get us in trouble, but you been watching that?
I have. The sudden spin from I'm releasing everything to it doesn't exist is rather interesting. That pitches an eyebrow.
It pisses me off.
It does.
It pisses me right.
Well, it
How in the hell can you?
goes to the core of society, right? What are our values truly? By ignoring this, you're saying everything justifies, the ends are always justified, the means are always justified by the ends. And we have no line. Even our prisoners will kill child molesters. Even our prisoners, our hardened murderers, will kill child molesters. There's some things that our society as a whole will not accept. But apparently, we do.
Apparently, yeah. I'm not happy about it at all. I think all of a sudden there's not a list. All of a sudden there aren't any victims. Like, excuse me. That's
Why is Ghislaine in jail? Why did Jeffrey go to jail?
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think this is a Brer Rabbit situation where he's making them demand he release the list, because I think it is going to be so catastrophic for both sides of the aisle and most of Wall Street that it will set the world on its heels. I think it will break the system. I think it's that deep. I think if it really comes out, I think we're going to find that he was an asset for both the CIA and Mossad, and that not just both sides of the aisle, but most of the world's leaders and most of the world's financial players are on that list, which then forces us to make the choice. Do we deal in justice as we have prescribed to it and reset the system? Because that's what the outcome would be. Or do we swallow the bitter pill and let the ends justify the means?
Well, the people are only going to take so much.
So either way, the thing
The
unwinds.
people are only much. Yeah. The politicians are banking on this going away, and it very may well go away. It may very well be the case that it's never going to get brought up again.
I doubt that.
I doubt that too, but I mean, and I could be wrong, but look, like the whole Kennedy thing. If the Kennedy thing got swept under the rug, I wasn't alive for it, but if I've read through some of the articles and stuff, they definitely managed to get through that, but it was a tumultuous time. But today they didn't have the internet, and so now we have the internet, in the midst of this Epstein bullshit, we have entities like Anonymous or whoever else, even individuals who have cataloged or maintained or even come into possession of these lists and this information, and it's being spread throughout the internet of these things that supposedly quote unquote do not exist are now they do exist, and people are the information is out there.
Yeah.
You have people like what's his name that just took over as like the leader of the FBI, the head of the FBI,
Boy,
who
his
literally
tone has
ran
changed.
on. Yeah, did you watch the Joe Rogan podcast where
I did, where him and
he
Bongino
did
were
the
on
Joe Rogan?
there, and both of them were vastly different in their tone and timbre for the last 3 years.
Yeah, and you have Trump who suddenly was like, "Oh, this doesn't exist,"
Yeah,
and you have
wasn't that interesting?
which
Bondi, from I have the list. There's tens of thousands to doesn't exist. List is on my desk.
yeah,
They even did the whole stunt about giving out binders to folks, and then nothing.
yeah, yeah. So that's all a bunch of bullshit. Um, yeah, it's bad, dude. It's bad as far as I'm concerned. It definitely doesn't sit well for me. I don't know what to do about it, but it doesn't sit well for me at all. I don't know what to do. What can you do?
So I think there's a whole lot of people in the I don't know what to do position. Like the whole thing is unraveling, right? So like the cost of living has gotten so high that it's untenable for most people, and everybody feels like we're kind of like on the brink of a reset, but nobody wants people to die. There's a whole lot of what do we do? There's two primary choices as I see it, maybe more than two. I've oversimplified it into a false dichotomy, which is natural for the human mind. But so we either we drag out the gallows, we get out the tar and feathers, and we start attempting to reconcile this in some kind of crude barbarian way that is only going to end with the destabilization of the system. And while we may end up grabbing a hold of an actor or two, actually dealing with the causality is unlikely. The other
Highly unlikely.
highly unlikely, yeah. We'll get a few patsies, but that's all that'll truly happen. We'll get the boogeyman and feel like we've accomplished something, but true change won't actually be affected. The second is actually part of the impetus for your Gamma Alpha Pi, where we begin to tell the story again as we believe it should be, which is hard. So if you look at humans across the epochs of time, we're essentially creatures that, like the Matrix, manifest the dominant story of the epoch. And the quality of the story and the pervasity of the story determines the cycle of its efficacy and the nature of its demise. Historically, we've allowed one or two great megalomaniacs to create some kind of uniting narrative behind which we all rally, whether voluntarily or by force. I think we've gotten to the point, and I think society shows this, that we've gotten to the point that letting a singular potentate create the narrative. And there are individuals trying desperately to swing the nations and the worlds back and forth to their will and their visions. But I think if you look around, you can see that the scale of this thing has gotten to the point where it is impractical for a singular vision to be sufficient for the scale. Before, you stated many times that it's hubristic or sophomoric to believe that we can all have a kumbaya moment. I believe you are correct. The probability of 9 billion people heading in one direction is 0. I mean, you can have a general direction of upward, but what upward means is going to vary from culture to culture, from individual to individual. And while there will be clusters of alignment, there will never be pure, unified cohesion. So how do you deal with that? Well, that means teaching people or encouraging, incentivizing vision for oneself and one's community and community. Again. Which, if you look across the epochs of time, has really been the only useful thing that we've done. We take those visions and we bastardize them, and things get a hold of them, and movements and individuals bend them and sway them to their own ends. But the foundation of all upward human mobility has been vision and community.
Yeah. And that's missing.
It's missing.
It's gone now.
Yes. So,
It's gone now.
which is why the 3 tenets are love, strength, and vision for God, self, family, and community. If you look at the intellectual archetypes, I've spent a retarded amount of time, I'm sure one could argue, wasted in reading the dribble or waxing philosophic of the intellectual, psychological, I don't know if you call them researchers, minds, philosophers, and their evolution of the understanding of the human and the individual and in the collective. In my assertion in The Great Boiling, if you were to boil the ocean, looking at both that body of work and the lessons of history, is that at its core, not only do humans not change, but we have 2 primary modes of operation, modus operandi, fear or love. And pretty much everything comes out of either fear or love.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
if we're to have vision on the individual level, to take responsibility for ourselves, our families, and our communities, and in community, working towards common aspirations. And I think, much like most of the conspiracy theories aren't actually conspiracy theories, it's just people aligned to the same ends. People naturally align towards similar goals. It's just how we are. We're not all sparkling, sunshiny snowflakes like we want to think we are. There's a tremendous amount of overlap. While there is individuality, we're 99.999% the same with our 0.000001% difference. So we tend to naturally align into pods or pools or schools or however you choose to categorize, sort, and order that. And with those alignments, if we're able to get people to assess themselves from the position of will you choose fear or love, and then from will you choose fear or love, what are your values and principles, and then from what are your values and principles, what do you see as your gifts, and if your gifts are the things given to you for the service of others, and this then dictates your purpose. What is your purpose? And then go forth, young man. Pick up your cross and follow him. Live out your purpose.
Purpose seems to be a theme today.
It is. It's a massive thing. Just as we've lost family and community, we've lost purpose. The Prussian School of Education for Mindless Drones has become extremely effective when coupled with 24-hour news cycles and televisions everywhere and phones in our hands. It has become so effective that we, much like Wall-E, we are the by and large drones floating around on the chairs, gluttonizing ourselves into oblivion. Complete loss of purpose devolved into mindless consumerism. The problem is that loss of purpose feels like a giant, vacuous sucking sound. And the separation from purpose is handy for consumers because you'll try and fill that void with everything, and they'll sell you everything to fill the void with. And you'll never fill it. It's unfillable because it's purpose and God-shaped.
Well, there's a difference between your purpose, your true purpose, and what is what you would call a perceived purpose from the outside.
Sure.
And the powers that be commend humanity as their perceived purpose is to consume and to further their own further the good of the great or the good of the people on top.
Yeah.
So they push and they
We're chattel.
a purpose. They push a purpose on us,
Yes.
but it isn't necessarily the true definition of a purpose. But so many people absorb that and make that their identity to where that becomes their purpose.
Well, we're trained to.
And it's kind of sad.
Where you hit the nail on the fucking head, dude. That is literally the process. That is what we're trained and how we're trained to be. And that's part of the reason the suicide rate and the depression rate is so high. We've imbibed that hook, line, and sinker. And we think our purpose is to produce value for a shareholder and consume. We don't articulate it that way. To be good at my job and to keep up with the Joneses or to give my family a good quality of life, right? And it's tied in that fucking deep. To provide my family a good quality of life, which means a nice house to be proud of and a boat to take on the weekends up to the lake.
And a truck.
And the 1-ton double cab, brand new $120,000 truck. And golf outings at the country club with the subscription.
Man, yesterday we drove by the golf course. It's on like country club golf course or whatever. And my son looked out the window and said, "They all look the same."
Ooh.
And I shit you not, they were all wearing tan shorts and polos. And two of them had they looked like they had the exact same outfit on.
Oh, I'm sure it's more than two.
And I started singing, "Little houses on the hillside, little houses made of ticky-tacky." I don't know if you know that song.
I do. But the same is true if you go to...
House.
You've been to a rave?
Yeah, I've perused through. I've never been
a
major participant.
They give each other the same sprouts. It's like back in our evolution and coming to the Marilyn Manson concert. I must be different until you go to the Marilyn Manson concert. Then they all look the same. We're so indoctrinated that even our rebellion looks the same.
Yeah.
We're so lost that even our rebellion looks the same. This is something, so earlier I said that I was wading through something and I've got something, an epiphany trying to emerge. the two of the things that I'm wrestling with, my he who wrestles with God moment. And I really feel like, honestly, both of these things are like these two are like the key to the next step in my evolution. One being much like, was it Isaiah with the dry bones? Who was that? Well, now I'm pissed. I should know this. Jeremiah speaks to the dry bones in the valley. Ezekiel.
I don't know. I should know.
Yeah, it's Ezekiel.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Duh. So, in reading the book of Isaiah, I realized that when he speaks not in, there are no qualifiers. Does that make any sense to you? He doesn't,
kind of.
when Isaiah speaks, he doesn't say if or I think or maybe or kind of or like or no. That's not how Isaiah speaks. It's also not how Jesus speaks. When Jesus speaks, thank you, Father. I know, and you do these things for their sake, for their faith. Lazarus, come out.
Yeah.
And he looked to heaven and gave thanks, and he broke the bread and fed 5,000. 5,000.
Well, yeah. There's no room for maybe.
Kind of. If. The epiphany that I feel is growing like a seed in soil ready to break forth in my life is this understanding. I know there's something here, and I feel like it's taking root and maturing, but it has not emerged. It's like you talk about the mustard seed. It's a tiny thing, but how profound that statement is when you really start getting to the meat of the statement of the mustard seed. Even when Jesus talks about the birds perch in its branches. When Ezekiel's talking to the dry bones, the power of life and death is in the tongue. And if you have enough faith, you will say to this mountain, uproot yourself and cast yourself into the sea, and it will.
Yeah. There's a certainty of spirit. It's the nature of the spirit.
It is.
Like when we went to sermon today, and you get that feeling like you're gonna cry.
Yes.
It's a certainty that you know when you see the spirit or you feel the spirit, you know. It's not like, well, it's kind of like this or it's kind of like that. It's like Jason talked about salvation. Once you have salvation, you know you have salvation. It's not, if I could do this, then maybe I'll get salvation and blah 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 blah. It's not like that. It's not something that you can explain to other people.
No.
It's something that it's like being a part of a club. Once you know, and you can see it in other people too. You know when somebody else speaks, or you know when somebody else. And if there's ever a discontentment, like if two people, you find two people arguing about the nature of salvation, then the chances are that both of them don't know. The,
Ain't that the truth?
well, there's a certainty to it. There's a certainty to it. and it's not something that you can explain. It's something that you have to experience, and that's how the spirit works. So it should be. And what's funny about it is that Jesus does speak in certainty, but he speaks in a certain parable.
He
He speaks
does.
in certain parables,
For those who have
such
ears to
that it is
hear, let
certain.
them hear.
But it's so certain. It's so certain that it it can be certain in many different ways. It's so certain that it's
Got depth.
ambiguous.
Yep.
This it's not ambiguous in its meaning, in like what does it mean? It's ambiguous in how it means. I don't know how to explain it, but it's certain.
How deep you can perceive it.
If you understand, then you understand what I mean.
Yeah. For those who have ears to hear, let them hear.
Right.
You'll hear it just as you're able to understand it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it will make perfect sense.
Yeah.
It won't kind of make sense. It'll make sense.
Well, and as we talked about earlier, as you evolve in your faith and in your walk and in your path, it will make more sense in different ways at the right time in the right place. You will get the meaning you need now for where you are now when you're ready. If you meditate upon the word.
Agreed. Yeah. And it'll make perfect sense today
Yeah.
in a way that is different from how it
Makes
makes perfect sense tomorrow
and in 10 years. 10 years after
and in
that,
10 years.
you're
Yeah.
going to go, oh, that's what he meant. Oh, I never saw it that way.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. But that emergence, I have to learn how to speak. The only way I can articulate that emerging or sense of emergence, I have to learn how to speak.
You have to learn not how to speak, but how to be a conduit of speech.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm looking at it all wrong. It's okay. So to that point,
The radio doesn't have to learn how to make noise.
yeah, Ezekiel was just saying what God told him to. Jesus is just saying what God told him to. Isaiah just saying what God told him to. I don't need to learn to speak. I need to learn to listen.
Yes. Yeah, for
Mm,
sure.
look at that. Look at that. And maybe that was the drop of water that causes the sprout to breach. The change in season. Finally begin to learn. Finally begin to learn. It's often how it comes, one small shift in understanding. Which is really kind of the sense of the second. I know there's, besides the listen to speak, I wrestle with some other understanding that I don't have, that I don't even know what it is yet. But I know that I'm missing something.
Just don't try to do things your way.
Yeah, I'm impatient. It gets me into trouble a lot. I end up taking whale rides a lot.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about knowing somebody for a long time is that you get to hear them speak over a wide variety of circumstances
Sure, over a long period of time.
over a long period of time. And I've listened to you speak through a wide variety of circumstances in your life.
Yeah.
And patience is definitely one of the things. But I'm not trying to judge you or
No,
whatever,
it's truth,
right?
man.
Don't take me like, but like
I'm an impatient.
I've seen you go through. This is the fourth position I've seen you in in the time that I've known you now. And it's coming up on 7 years that I've known you.
Yeah.
Because I met you at the very, very end of your first job that I knew you at. Through the second, which was a contract that ended. And then the third, which just ended. And now you're into your fourth.
Yeah.
And every single time you went through a transition, you were scratching your head going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And, but you don't see it from that. You don't see it from that perspective because you see it in and out. Just like you're able to look at me across a wide variety of things, and I'm sure um, you have insight to me that I don't have, right?
Yeah. I would say so. But that's
So
part of the value of relationships, of trusting true relationships, as you can get that accountability. A lot of people want to make accountability what they think someone else should be, not helping someone else become who they want to be because they asked them to.
right. No, you're not wrong.
If you have good relationships and you tell your friend, I want to stop drinking, and your friend sees you drinking, they'll be like, hey, man. And not in front of everybody. They're not going to call you out. They're going to be like, hey, thought you wanted to stop drinking. Do you want to ride home? Can I help you? That's what accountability is. And you're absolutely right. I am impatient and I do worry. And God always drags my ass out of the fire. And more often than not, they're fires that I created.
Yeah, that's how it goes for sure.
It is.
100%.
It's easy to see it when you can disconnect. One of the benefits of meditation. You disconnect and step back and see it 30, 50, 100,000 foot. Oh. But day to day, you're right up in it, and your face is in the screen, and you forget that it's a game, and you think that you're playing. You think that you're Mario.
Yeah.
Gets the best of us. There's been a couple that it didn't get, and we kill them every time. Richard Pryor, probably his best performance, walks onto a stage under the supposition that he is God looking for his son. He starts asking about Dr. King and JFK and where's my son? Where's my son?
Well, speaking of where is my son and patience,
Dun dun
I
dun.
might bounce out of here a little early and see if I can get a hold of Steve.
Probably should, man. It's already been 2 hours, anyways. Tell him I said, hey, hope he gets to feeling better soon. Hopefully, this is just indigestion and passes. Or something minor.
Yeah, me too.
Appreciate you, brother. Have a wonderful week.
All right, brother. Yeah, you too. Love you, man. And I'll keep you up to date as I can.
All right. See you, bub.